Hey everybody, it's Candy, aka Brown Eyed Girl 69. How y'all doing tonight? Well, the reason why I'm coming on here is because I was talking to a friend of mine, backyard stream, a couple days ago, and then I was talking to another friend of mine on the phone a few days ago, and told her about one of my experiences, and I also told her about, how throughout my whole life, people, you need to write a book. Candy, you need to write a book. Candy, you need to write a book. So maybe the universe is telling me to write a book, even though I don't really know where to start or where to begin. But I will say this. I have many, many, many stories. I just need to choose which ones I want to tell. So, tonight, I'm going to share a couple of stories with you guys. Depends on the time, how long it takes me. I might just get to one. Let's see. One story that I have to talk about is an out-of-body experience. Now, mind you, background, I was raised basically in a normal Christian upbringing, I suppose. I was raised up in the Baptist doctrine. Good term for it. So I was always raised in church since the time I was a small child, small baby, and I think when I was a baby, my mom started taking me to church when I was a baby. Anyway, so when I was 10 years old, I was really into gymnastics. I was really into sports. Anything athletic, I liked it. So one day I was inside the house. I think dinner was getting ready to be served. And my dad was home and my mom was in the kitchen and I was doing handstands, like in between the dining room and the living room. There was a space there. And so I kept throwing myself onto my hands trying to do a handstand. But every time I came back down, I would inch a little closer and a little closer to the table. And my dad even told me, Candy, he goes, you need to stop. He goes, because you're going to wind up hitting the table. Me being 10, I didn't stop. And the next time I went to throw myself forward, and I had a lot of force behind that thrust, the underside of my heel hit, or I shouldn't say the underside, my heel hit the underside of the table. And I immediately was, boom, down. And I remember when it happened, and as soon as it hit, I just remember thinking, oh my God, that hurt. And then I just went down, and that was it. Next thing I know, I'm looking at myself from a different perspective. And I wasn't in my body. I was above my body, looking downward at myself laying there, realizing that was me. But trying to make sense of it all, I guess, without trying to make too much sense of it, So I kind of hovered above my body, but kind of like back away so I could see the whole scenario, And my dad immediately jumped up as soon as I landed on the ground. He immediately jumped up, ran over to me, flipped me over, and I was out cold. My eyes were closed. I was just kind of like limp, lifeless, I was just limp. But I was still breathing. And my dad immediately picked me up, took me into the bathroom, put me in the shower, and turned on the cold shower to try to get me to come out of it, And I was witnessing this. I was also witnessing my mother from down the hallway laying out towels in the living room. I had a little pillow there and everything. And I could tell that my mom and my dad was conversing, so they were probably conversing about what do we do if she doesn't, come to pretty quick. And my dad pulled me out of the shower, brought me in there, laid me down on the floor there with all the towels. And my mom started to slowly get me undressed, I guess, so, I wouldn't get cold or whatever. I think she'd gathered some other clothes or something, too, to put me in. But they were trying to get me to come around. And then I guess my dad was going to go for the phone to call the hospital, the call operator, or however you got in touch with 911 back in those days, This was 1979. And as soon as he went to make the phone call, I immediately woke up. So I never went outside of the house. I never went and explored any other realms or any other levels of the spiritual side of things. I never seen a light. I never seen any other beings or any of that. Just me, myself, and I. And looking down on my body and looking down on my parents. And that was it. So that was one of my stories. I was 10. I didn't quite fully understand it, and I tell it the way it happened, But as far as I got knocked out of my body, when people say they got knocked out and they're like knocked out cold, more than likely their spirit has jumped out of their body as well, so they don't feel the pain as much. And then when the spirit feels like it's safe for it to return to the vessel, then it will return to the vessel when and as needed. So that was a story about an out-of-body experience. Let's see, what other stories do I want to give that aren't too deep? Because I have a lot of stories that are pretty deep. I will say this, subject matter-wise, I was adopted. So I could write a book on being adopted, or what it's like to be adopted. I can write a book on being found, by my birth mother. And what that's like. I could write stories on all those years that I was homeless with Daryl, and how it started and how it ended. And give me just 1 second, I'll be right back.